Why are entire regions of Europe, once full of life and opportunity, now seeing a massive wave of people leaving? Immigrants who once found a home in historic cities and peaceful countryside are now being forced out. Governments are tightening their grip, sending thousands back to their home countries. But why? Is it political pressure, economic struggles, or something even more shocking? In this video, we reveal the top 10 European countries deporting immigrants in 2025, with jaw-dropping numbers, extreme policies, and some surprising names on the list. One country is leading the charge in ways no one expected. Stay tuned, because these new deportation trends are causing global outrage, and you won't believe which country is at the top. Can you guess? Number 10, Bulgaria. Would you believe that one European country quietly sent back over 51,000 immigrants in just 1 year? Bulgaria, a nation known for its stunning landscapes and deep history, has become one of the most aggressive enforcers of deportation policies. Yet few people are talking about it. This small Balkan country has turned into a fortress against migrants, using strict border controls and harsh removal tactics. In 2024 alone, Bulgaria blocked over 53,000 migrants from crossing its border with Turkey. But these weren't just voluntary departures. Reports claim that many were met with brutal force, immediate expulsions, and no legal process. Human rights groups have raised alarms, accusing Bulgaria of serious violations. Yet the government defends its actions, insisting it is only protecting its borders. For those who do manage to enter, life is unbearable. Refugee camps are overcrowded, legal residency is nearly impossible, and many migrants face hostility from both officials and locals. Meanwhile, Bulgaria itself is one of the poorest countries in the European Union, with thousands of its own citizens leaving for better jobs abroad. Yet, instead of integrating migrants, the government is doubling down on deportations. For many immigrants, this is a cruel cycle: denied entry, forced to flee, and sent back with nowhere to go. But Bulgaria isn't the only country taking extreme action. Number 9, France. Can you guess which European country ordered over 31,000 deportations in just 3 months? You might think of France as a land of culture, history, and diversity, but in 2024, it has become one of the toughest enforcers of immigration laws. If you thought France was welcoming, think again, because thousands are being forced out, and the numbers keep rising. Between July and September 2024, France issued a shocking 30,500 deportation orders, with 4,300 people forcibly removed. The government claims this crackdown is necessary to fight illegal migration and security threats, but critics argue it's just a political strategy to win favor with nationalist voters. The tactics? Dawn raids, mass detentions, and flights packed with deportees. Immigration officers are cracking down harder than ever, targeting not only those without legal status, but even people with pending asylum applications. No city is safe. Paris, Marseille, Lyon, all have become hotspots for deportations. Once thriving immigrant communities are now living in fear, as families are torn apart overnight. And if you think this only affects undocumented migrants, think again. Even those who have lived in France for years, worked, paid taxes, and built a life are suddenly at risk. With stricter residency laws, even a minor rule violation can put someone on the fast track to deportation. Human rights groups are raising alarms, but the government isn't backing down. France's harsh stance on immigration is shaking communities, leaving thousands unsure of their future. Will this continue in 2025? If current policies are any sign, the numbers will only increase. Number 8, Germany. Did you think Germany was a safe place for immigrants? Think again. Germany has become one of the toughest countries in Europe when it comes to deportations. In just 3 months, more than 13,500 people were ordered to leave, and thousands were forcibly removed. But why is this happening? The reason might shock you. For years, Germany was known as the land of opportunity, welcoming refugees, skilled workers, and families looking for a better future. But in 2024, everything changed. The government cracked down hard on failed asylum seekers, undocumented workers, and even long-term residents who had small legal problems. From Berlin to Munich, immigration raids have become a daily reality. leaving thousands of people terrified and unsure about their future. One of the most shocking parts of Germany's deportation wave is the use of charter flights. Imagine entire planes filled with deportees sent back to countries they left years ago. Some people had only a few days' notice, while others were taken straight from their workplaces or homes. Jobs, families, dreams, all gone in an instant. And it doesn't stop there. Regional governments are now competing to see who can deport the most people. Immigration has become a major political battleground, and cities that once celebrated diversity are now witnessing mass removals, protests, and legal battles. Germany's message is loud and clear. Stay legally or don't stay at all. Number 7, Spain. Think Spain is a relaxed and welcoming country? Think again. In just 3 months, Spain issued over 13,800 deportation orders and removed more than 3,200 people. And if you think that sounds bad, it's only getting worse. Spain was once seen as a safe haven for immigrants from Latin America and North Africa, but now the government has completely changed its approach. Under growing pressure from rising anti-immigration movements, Spain has tightened its borders, increased mass deportations, and launched aggressive immigration raids in major cities like Madrid and Barcelona. Even immigrants who have lived in Spain for years are being targeted, some are being deported for small infractions. And here's the most shocking part. Spain has been accused of forcing migrants back to North Africa at sea, without giving them a chance to apply for asylum. Human rights groups have called this a serious violation of international law, but the Spanish government refuses to back down. Their message: illegal crossings will not be tolerated. For many, Spain was supposed to be a fresh start, a place of opportunity and safety. Now it's a place where immigrants live in fear, never knowing if today will be the day they are sent back. Families are being ripped apart. Businesses are losing workers, and entire communities are changing overnight. Number 6, Greece. Can you guess which European country is making headlines for some of the most extreme deportations in recent history? It's Greece, a country once known as the gateway to Europe for migrants. But in 2024, everything changed. Greece has now become one of the most unwelcoming places for those seeking safety, and the numbers are shocking. Over 16,000 people have been sent back in the past year, but it's how they're being deported that will leave you speechless. For years, Greece struggled with huge waves of migrants escaping war-torn countries in the Middle East and Africa. But in 2024, the government took drastic action, ordering mass deportations, violent border crackdowns, and even secret repatriation missions. Entire migrant camps have been wiped out overnight. Buses arrive in the middle of the night, taking people straight to deportation centers with no warning. And that's just the beginning. One of the most horrifying tactics? Reports claim that Greek authorities have been abandoning migrants at sea, placing them on small rafts and forcing them to drift back to Turkish waters. Human rights groups are outraged, calling these actions cruel and illegal. But the Greek government stands firm, insisting it's all in the name of national security. Inside the country, things are just as brutal. Immigration police sweep through Athens, Thessaloniki, and Crete, searching for anyone without legal documents. Even people who have lived in Greece for years are suddenly being deported with no warning and no way to fight back. The message from Greece is loud and clear. Migrants are no longer welcome. But the story doesn't end here. Poland has been carrying out some of the most shocking deportations in Europe, and the numbers are even more staggering. Number 5, Poland. Think Poland was just a stopover for migrants? Think again. In 2024, Poland deported over 36,000 people, making it one of the strictest countries in Europe when it comes to immigration. And the way they're doing it, it's absolutely chilling. For years, Poland was a key route for refugees trying to reach Western Europe. But now, the government has shut the door tight. With stricter border controls and lightning-fast deportations, staying in Poland has become almost impossible for many migrants. Here's where it gets even more shocking. The government introduced fast-track deportations, where decisions are made in just hours instead of weeks. That means no time for appeals, no chance to fight back. And the worst part? Entire families are being removed in the dead of night. Imagine this. Immigration officers storm into apartments, grab people, and put them on planes the same day. Children are being ripped away from their parents, and some deportees are sent straight back to war zones, despite international laws that forbid it. But Poland isn't stopping at illegal immigrants. It's going after legal residents too. New policies have made it harder for migrants to renew work permits, and even those who have lived in Poland for years are being kicked out over tiny paperwork mistakes. The message is loud and clear. If you're not Polish, you're not staying. Number 4. Hungary? Think Hungary was already tough on immigration? Think again, it's now worse than ever. In 2025, Hungary has taken its harshest stance yet, deporting thousands of people in just a few months. And the way they're doing it will leave you speechless. Hungary has never been friendly toward migrants, but now it's one of the most unwelcoming places in Europe. The government has doubled down on border patrols, mass deportations, and detentions, targeting not just illegal immigrants, but also long-term residents who suddenly don't meet Hungary's new, stricter rules. And here's where it gets really shocking. Hungary is using a brutal policy called the pushback law. This law lets border officers expel migrants instantly without any legal process. No hearings, no defense, no second chances. Reports say that thousands of people have been rounded up and thrown out, with some even abandoned in remote border areas with nowhere to go. But it doesn't stop there. Even those who already have asylum status are now under review, and many are losing their protection overnight. That means people who were once safe are suddenly on the verge of being kicked out. Inside Hungary, the crackdown is just as terrifying. Immigration raids in Budapest and other cities have led to mass arrests, with detainees locked up in detention centers before being sent out of the country. Even businesses that unknowingly hire undocumented workers are being shut down, leaving entire communities living in fear. Hungary's government says all of this is for national security, but human rights groups are calling it a full-blown violation of human rights. The message is loud and clear. If you're not Hungarian, you're not welcome. Number 3, Latvia. Which European country is secretly carrying out one of the biggest deportation crackdowns? You might not hear much about it, but in 2025, Latvia is quietly forcing out thousands of immigrants. And the way it's happening is truly shocking. Unlike other countries that openly arrest and deport migrants, Latvia has taken a stealthy approach. Instead of large police raids, the government is using hidden tricks in the law to make people leave. Work permits? Suddenly denied. Residency applications rejected for no clear reason. Families who have lived in Latvia for years are suddenly being told they must leave immediately, with no warning and no way to fight back. But here's the most unbelievable part. Many of these deported people aren't illegal immigrants at all. Some have lived in Latvia for over 10 years, working legally, paying taxes, and building their lives. But now, even a small paperwork mistake is enough to get them thrown out. And because the process is so slow and silent, most don't even realize they're being forced out until it's too late. And it doesn't stop there. Latvia has expanded deportation programs, now targeting non-EU workers, international students, and even refugees. Entire migrant communities are shrinking, and the fear of deportation has made life unbearable for thousands. And just when you think things can't get any worse, guess what? Latvia's crackdown is inspiring another country to do the same, but in an even more extreme way. Number 2, Croatia. While millions of people visit its breathtaking beaches every year, a dark and shocking reality is unfolding behind the scenes. In 2025, Croatia has launched one of its harshest crackdowns on immigrants. And the way it's happening is absolutely brutal. For years, Croatia was a key stop for migrants traveling the Balkan route, hoping to reach Western Europe. But now, that door has slammed shut. Instead of allowing passage, the government has stepped up deportations at a terrifying speed. Reports show that thousands have been expelled in just a few months, often in ways that are inhumane and dangerous. One of the most shocking tactics: migrants caught without papers are being loaded onto one-way buses and dumped at the Bosnian and Serbian borders, sometimes in the middle of the night, no food, no shelter, no way to survive. Human rights groups have called it a clear violation of international law. But Croatia insists it is just protecting its borders. And it's not just happening at the borders. Inside Croatia, things are just as bad. Immigration raids have become a daily nightmare in cities like Zagreb and Split. Businesses that employ undocumented workers are being shut down overnight. Entire families are being torn apart. And the worst part? Even legal residents who have lived in Croatia for years are suddenly finding themselves on deportation lists. But here's the most disturbing thing. Many migrants report that Croatian authorities are using violence and fear to force them out. People have told stories of being beaten, robbed, and even abandoned in remote areas, with no way to get back. Despite international outrage, Croatia remains unapologetic, making one thing crystal clear: immigrants are no longer welcome. Number 1, Denmark. A country known for being progressive and welcoming has done a complete U-turn. In 2025, Denmark has launched one of the most shocking deportation waves in its history, and the way it's happening is unbelievable. For years, Denmark had an image of tolerance and social equality. But behind closed doors, its government was quietly building policies that would make life miserable for migrants. The result? Thousands of people, many who have lived in Denmark for years, are now being forced to leave. One of the most controversial policies? The government is canceling residency permits at record speed. Even refugees who were granted asylum years ago are suddenly told to pack their bags and leave. Why? Because Denmark now says their home countries are safe, even when they're not. Some have even been sent back to war zones and oppressive regimes with no concern for their safety. And here's where things get even worse. Denmark has built deportation camps in remote locations just for rejected asylum seekers. These places are designed to be so miserable that people choose to leave on their own. No jobs, no opportunities. Strict rules. Some migrants have compared them to prisons, but it's not just refugees being targeted. Denmark has also made it nearly impossible for foreign workers and students to stay. New immigration laws have introduced ridiculous income and education requirements, causing thousands to lose their residency. Even families with Danish-born children are being ripped apart. Some family members are forced to leave, while others are allowed to stay. And just when you think it can't get any worse, the Danish government is already working on even harsher measures for 2026. If these new laws pass, even more people will be forced out. So what does this mean for immigration in Europe? Are more countries going to follow Denmark's extreme policies? The trends are terrifying, and the next few years could bring even stricter deportation laws across the continent. Before we wrap up, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring you the most eye-opening and shocking content. Which country's deportation policies surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments.